somebody told me that in the past 5 months that that's what's happening. So if we have 50% of the workforce leaving, we've got to be able to fill that somehow. And getting people interested in these trades is going to be really super critical. So we'll go to the next one. Traditional versus non-traditional qualities which make a successful student. We all have a lot of issues with this one, right? I've talked with numerous people in the past 2 days here about that, where my biggest thing is I started teaching full-time back in fall 2009. Well, what happened just prior to that? We had the recession hit, and just down the street from my tech college, we had AC Delco closed. So I had all these professionals. It wasn't just AC Delco, there was a bunch of other industries in the area. So there's all these people who are trying to go back and get some added skills to be hireable. And I had people coming in, I would say probably 30%, maybe more, who were engineers, had bachelor's degrees, master's degrees. I even had a PhD student come in. Well, today that's not true. That has changed more to a traditional student. So I went from a typical age of maybe 45 going up to 50 to now where my students' ages are probably closer to 40 years old. With that change also is their background. So I don't have people who were in the trades or who were technically oriented in the curriculum anymore. I have people who don't have any background in this at all. And so that's making a big difference in the student population. Where do we recruit these people? You know, are we going to go and cannibalize other programs for them? We heard some discussion today that I wouldn't call it cannibalizing, but I think it's sharing is going to be a much better way to look at it. Because let's face it, when I was in college, I had no idea where I was going to end up. So people are going to want to migrate from one curriculum to another curriculum just by learning things. I've had that happen within my curriculum where my people have come through the curriculum and either before, during, or after they got the degree have gone to our power engineering or have gone to our HVAC trades because their thoughts on what they want to do change. So we have to be open to that. But I mentioned cannibalizing because I want to try to emphasize we don't really want to be taken away from other curriculum just to support our own. We want to try to make sure we support all the curriculum around us. And Dave and I have been talking about this within our college because we want to support each other in the different programs. And this be cross-pollinating, trying to make everybody better as a result. We can go to engineering firms and commissioning providers. This is in particular for my program, but look, in thinking about this, some of this is professional development. People are coming back and taking some of these classes to learn more, to be able to advance or do a better job at what they're currently doing. So we have to be able to somehow tap into that. Talk to contractors, vendors, suppliers, see if they have some personnel that might be needed some updating their skills. Successful community strategies, you know, networking, association meetings, conference shows. I've been networking a lot. I've been inviting different groups in to just have their monthly meeting held at the college. And that, I think, is hoping to lay some groundwork for people to be informed about the programs and hopefully end up, if not themselves, talking to other people, kind of a quasi-recruiting mechanism. So, anybody have any other types of ideas? Robert?
One of the things we're starting to do is we're starting to try and catch them really young. We started doing workshops around building automation systems and networking and things like that in high schools and even down into junior highs. I've got one scheduled next month to go into a junior high science class and start teaching building automation systems. Just real basic concepts, but you get them in early You know, you teach them the basic concepts. Okay, what do you need to be able to control the temperature in a space? Well, you got to know the temperature, and you got to know what set point you want to control it to, and just let them run from there. You know.
And I think that's a really good strategy. I've been contemplating myself going to the summertime type of 1 or 2 week camps. Well, I can't think of the phrase. Camps, a camp or something like that, to bring them in and just show them all the technical trades. Work with other departments to just expose them to it. And this kind of ties into what Chris was talking about the other day when you mentioned it. You had some very good points. You mentioned that we need to explain to them that one, there's options out there. Two, comparable wages. I know that when I started with MATC, my salary was the same as my nephew who just graduated with his BS in mechanical engineering. I mean, how is that right? Doesn't make any sense. So if we can start to relay the information about if you go into a technical trade, power engineering guys, they're coming out and they're making $50,000 plus right out of school with a semester to 2 semesters of schooling. They just got to get their license and away they run. So these technical trades really have a lot of viability. In the LA, California, Oakland area, we were talking with, I don't know, it was Larry Bacher who's saying this. There was somebody else a year ago, but some of the wages for BAS techs, the good quality ones, they're reaching $100,000+ a year. I don't know about you, but I don't need that. And that's with a 2-year degree. So,
you know, something we've ran into related to, you start talking about wages, and a lot of times the students will get interested. But if they're young enough, they may not have a concept of what does it mean to make money.
yeah.
And so
I didn't think about that.
we, on our electrical side, one of our industry partners that does a lot of like recruiting and stuff, he goes, when I go out to a place, I take my 4-wheel drive and my boat. And I go, that's what you can buy making $100,000 a year. Because kids understand a 4-wheel drive truck and a boat. And I said, wow, that's really interesting. But also when you talk money.
Dave, you taking down olds here?
I've gotten a lot of pushback from parents when I started talking about the money you can make, and they go, well, but are they going to be pulling wrenches the rest of their life? And I've taken that aspect to start talking about, well, this isn't just a job, this is a career, and it can lead to a real career pathway, and talked about, you know, certificates to associate's degrees to bachelor's transfer programs and what that can look like over a career. And I've gotten parents, one of who was actually our assistant registrar, her son is now in our program, and that's really what sold her on supporting her son going into that was, okay, he can get a job, you know, in 2 years with his associate's degree and still go on if he wants to.
And in addition, he or she has 2-year head start on making a living.
Right.
And that has a big impact, huge impact. And you know, you bring up, it reminds me that one of the deficits I feel I have is what a lot of you in here have. I don't have that hands-on installation service work background. I'm a mechanical engineer.
I get so upset when I hear somebody say, is he going to be turning wrenches all his life?
Well,
that's what I did for most of my life.
Yeah,
I hate to say it, but you know, here I am now.
The reality is, I haven't had that turning wrenches opportunity, and I still like to be able to do that. So, and I think a lot of people are in the same type of boat. You want to be able to have some hands-on as well as some of this higher level type of work when you're getting to be our age. So,
motorcycle repair.
yeah. So I think it's a mix. Keith?
As far as recruitment, Some of the things we wind up doing is like career days, and we do that kind of like with the high school, in which, they get bussed in and kind of take a tour of the whole technical education program. Another thing that we've been looking at is actually Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, bringing them in and just doing like a little activity for a day or something like that with more half a day.
We're doing both of those things also, but they aren't focused on the building trades per se. They're more for manufacturing. But because manufacturers in the same space with us, they get exposed to it. And Dave and I have sat in on some of these tours where we're presenting information.
So just 2 quick comments. First, in my area, we're getting a lot of direct competition from the four-year universities, aggressively recruiting high schools, aggressively. And it's really had a significant downward impact on almost every community college program in the state of Arizona because of that level. So, what I'm faced with is not singular or alone in that. The other issue that's related to this is because of the student piece, the older students come back in the evenings, so you have to find people to teach in the evenings to get that.
Yeah.
But in the day, when you could potentially attract some of those recent graduates, the industry can't support the educational content from instructor perspective and do that. So there's kind of this catch-22 that you're caught in terms of getting that recruitment for what group are you trying to satisfy. So that's another complexity to this.
Right, and that's a huge part of the complexity of this because we don't have the students to fill the classroom right now. How do we get them in when we have to try to meet this diverse timing need?
One thing that we're trying to address that, because I'm trying to target this professional development area. I think there's a lot of people in big companies that could benefit from energy management, which is the program I teach in. It's a suggestion by my dean to start creating more hybrid courses where part of it is online and maybe perhaps throughout the semester you meet for a handful of long days. So maybe the employer would allow them to sneak away for 4 hours on a Friday afternoon or something like that.
I'm going to try to get one more question over here, so I think there's other hands up and I've been neglected this side.
The quick question, response to that is we've been told from our higher-ups that there's a push now for funding will be streamed to our schools based upon graduates and how many students have graduated from that program. So I wonder if in Wisconsin, if you've seen the same issue with that, because if we start catering, which is not a bad idea by any stretch, but if we don't have students graduating and saying they are a BAS graduate or a whatever degree program, then the funding for those programs won't make it.
You don't want the onesie-twosie class takers, yeah.
Right, because they're no longer considered a graduate, so there's no completer. Degree completions. So I don't know if that's just
To answer your question on that front, Wisconsin, at least for tech college, at least for MATC, and I'm assuming it's for you also, we have this completion formula also. You have to have completion rates, right?
Right.
But it's now not just how many associate's degrees or diplomas you give, it's certificates, and they're looking for people that go into the classes, and so they're trying to account for this a little bit differently and not just have this graduation rate as the only driving factor. They're trying to be a little more comprehensive. They're not there yet all the way, but I think there is an attempt to try to be a little more equitable from that standpoint, because I think that a large part of the need for the programs that Jen and I teach happen to be on that professional development. Let's go get a course or certificate to augment us and give us that next level job. And I've had graduates from the local college, four-year university, come to MATC, take a class or two of mine, and then they're able to go, hey, I got this background in commissioning or measurement and verification. JCI hired me and they get hired.
The only,
It needs to be represented somehow.
the only quick issue to that is the traditional students don't have enough horsepower to take the 2 or the 3 classes that a successful bachelor degree student that would come back for that professional development would get. And so I'm running into the problem that I've got a skills certificate that's about 18 credits, but you need more certificates.
That's what we did. The state said, we want more certificates. So we went from 1 certificate, I think we have 12 now.
Ah,
We split it up.
okay.
If they wanted
Got it.
more,
I
I'd give
like
them, if they went back and said, we only want 1, we'd go back to whatever they want. That's what we'll,
Got
yeah.
it. I like that idea.
What we are doing to an extent, and we're planning on doing more, is getting stackable certificates. So they could have different tracks and still end up with the associate degrees. I mean, once they get a stackable certificate and they see, what, I only have to take this more and get the degree, why not?
That's what we have gone to, and we're trying to do more of that, and we're also in preliminary discussion about having these alternate routes to be a little bit different, but I don't know where that's going to go.
Concentration rates, that's what we're doing at LCCC. We have an Associates of Applied Science in Industrial Technology. And the reason is because we weren't getting enough completions in our separate programs to keep any of them going. So by combining them and then going with certificates that are stackable, now when we have someone that, now we could have the minimum requirement of say 12 completers, but one of them would have a Associate of Applied Science Industrial Technology with a concentration in HVAC. Another would have a concentration in process technology. Another one would have a concentration on integrated system technology and wind energy.
How is that done? Are it basically separate degrees, but they're just using the same class? How are you doing
Same
that?
degree, but with different class sets in them, and then we just say it's a concentration in this area. So see, like they did it for HVAC. They have
I don't know that we have the ability to
they have a credit diploma is a basic HVAC technician, and then another credit diploma as a advanced HVAC technician, and then they have general education requirements taken care of that satisfy the associate's degree in industrial technology, and then they graduate from, they get a degree at that point, and it can be articulated at UW. But HVAC was able to count them twice, and the School of BAS was able to count the degree once. So it actually counted as 3 completions.
That's great.
We've had immense success doing almost exactly the same thing in IT with our college. So you may look to the other programs within your area and see if somebody else is doing it in a very similar way. And if they are, you can hold them up as an example. Because we have, I think we are up to like 16 different, we call them flavors of an IT degree, but when they walk out the door, you know, they may focus on mobile applications or robotics or databases or networking. But when they walk out the door, they all walk out with the same associates in information technology.
And this is interesting because it's sort of more of where we're taking our program right now, where we're trying to kind of cross-pollinate the courses and therefore be able to share staff more and things like that. It's kind of taking it to a little bit different level, and to me it sounds like a natural progression that we should be looking into because all these skills are needed, and there's so many different types of jobs out there that you can't just meet it with 1 degree. You've got to mix and match it somehow.
And it addresses the issues of scale, I think, a little bit as well.
Yeah, and that's really critical. I mean, that's one thing I feel a lot of.
The one other comment that I'll make is just be sensitive to the Title IV issues because so many of our students are financial aid eligible, and when we start breaking into separate certificates, unless they declare for that big degree, even if they don't ever get there, you can't get financial aid for anything less than 15 credit hour certificate.
Right.
Unless you have that full-fledged AAS or something that they can target in that.
Matt?
Well, as we're talking about recruiting there, one of the huge things we're doing at our college, I know it's kind of is an example what we were just talking about, but is women in technology. We brought in IWITS to do presentation to about 40 of our faculty from across our technical division to say, how do you recruit women into technology and how do you retain them in your classroom? And some of it was really, really simple stuff. Within our division, we're about 4,500 students. Half of those students are in our IT area, and they're like a 40-60 split male-female. But when you get into the rest of it, which is like our skilled trades, traditional skilled trades, it's bad. It's like 5% female. And our HVAC program is actually our worst at like less than 1%. And so if we're just continuing to market and recruit the way we have been in the past, which we're leaving out half of our local population. And so they gave us some really simple things like, rather than, like some people said, well, if you want to recruit women, you should have a woman in your advertising. And they're going, well, actually you should have a man and a woman. And you should show that this could be for anybody. And so they gave us a bunch of just really like simple things that I was like, wow, I guess we really didn't even think of, you know, changing who you put in the stuff you're already pulling together, you know, connecting up with organizations that are already out there. So we've linked up with NAWIT.
Wits?
Well, no, yeah, but it's like the local chapter of it in our area. But yeah, it's about women in
Construction.
It's women in construction, not women in technology. They're two different groups, but we're friends with both of them now.
Yeah.
But we've really tried to, you know, put a broad net out there that says, not only are we actually open to everybody, but hey, look, we actually are open to everybody with the way we market things as far as our pictures, videos, things like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of power in that.
I'll just also note there's research that shows that girls and boys perform the same in math and science as strong as equally up through 5th grade. And then once girls hit middle school, even though they know the answer and even though they, you know, they are less confident to raise their hand because they don't want to seem smarter than the boys. So all of a sudden, it's like they kind of just, I guess it's just hormones, whatever, it kicks in. And like from middle school on, so the takeaway is 5th grade. We do a lot of STEM outreach with 5th graders. And they are so, the girls, as equal as to the boys, are so excited, passionate. You bring in hands-on activities, and they're raising their hand, they're asking questions, just as enthusiastic as the boys. You don't get the eyes rolling. And so the key there is